So the gospel of today is quite polemic. I would say controversial to a certain extent, because someone approaches Jesus and say, "Hey, your mother and your brothers, they're out there asking for you." And then all of a sudden you have Jesus Christ saying, who is my mother and my brothers? Which certainly there were. But he says, well, those, and pointing to the people, those who do the will of my Father, those are my mother and my brothers. And what is it, quite precisely, what is it that Christ is doing here with that? And it's important for us to understand that. For some people, it's a little bit difficult to comprehend that, I would say, especially if some of us, we have some certain kind of affectivity problem with family ties and all that, which can be quite sick to a certain extent, right? Between parents and their children, or their children with their parents, or whatever. Because what Christ is helping us to do here is to overcome one of the difficulties we have, or obstacles, I would say, in order to follow him, which is this affectivity problem that we can have many times. That's why in another gospel he says, whoever does not hate mother, father, son, daughter for the sake of me cannot be my disciple. And it's important to understand that, because the evangelist actually uses the verb to hate. Many scholars try to twist that word a little bit for whatever reason, but what is it that Christ is teaching us here, brothers and sisters? The more important than family ties, or more important than having a father or having a mother or my children, more important than that is to do the will of his Father, because that's what Christianity is all about. That's what Christ came to teach us as essentially part of his mission, that is to teach us how to enter every single day into the will of his Father, because it is there where I find rest. The gospel of yesterday spoke about it. Come to me, all of you who are tired, who are burdened, and I will give you rest for your souls. See, Christ doesn't say, go to your mom, go to your father, go to your children. No, come to me. Now, that doesn't mean we cannot have a father, we cannot have a mother, or we cannot have children. That's not what it means. But that's why I believe that this gospel is very much tied with the gospel, that where Christ says, whoever does not hate father or mother, or whoever loves more mother and father and children more than me cannot be my disciple. And it's important for us to understand what Christ is saying here. Because if in order to truly love my children, my mother, my father, if in order to do that, I have to love God, and in order for me to love God, if I have to hate this idea that I have of my children, that's why Christ is not asking here to hate the people themselves, but is to hate all this idea that we have, all this attachment that we have towards our parents, towards our children, to hate all this idea of this attachment, this sickness, if you want, in order to love him. And by loving him, then we can truly love, truly, free from any kind of poison, let's say, that would affect the way I relate to the others. Then I would truly, by loving God, then I can truly love my mother, my father, my children, because I love God first. That's why Shema Israel, you shall love the Lord your God with all your strength, with all your mind, with all your soul. And then I can love them properly. This is the beautiful way Christ has to go across that problem, right? And it's not that Christ, he has any disdain here towards his mother, right? Some people, but because it's true. I mean, Mary was his mother, but more important than being the mother of God is to do the will of the Father. That's why Mary She's blessed, she's venerated, not because she's the mother of Jesus. Yes, for sure. I don't want to say any heresy here, please. Yes, all that. But most essentially is because she did the will of the Father. And indeed she did, right? Being done into me according to thy will, to your will. And this is what Christ is saying. More important than being my mother is doing the will of my Father, which Mary, in fact, she did. That's why Mary is, yes, she is, let's say, it's almost like being twice his mother, right? Because in flesh, but also because she did the will of the Father. So very good. I believe this is a quite deep gospel that helps us to go beyond our family ties or our family affectivity many times that hinders us, if I can say. It hinders us from doing the will of God. Right? I remember when I first had to leave everything in Brazil and come to the seminary and leaving my parents. It was not easy because I also had this relationship with my parents, especially my mom, and also she had this relationship with me. It was quite strong that it had to be broken. And it had to be broken. Now I see that it had to be broken. Why so? So that I could truly love my parents now, so that I could really love them as God asks me to, which is a love that is free. No, it's not a love that asks anything back or holds me back, which is not love. So very good. Who are my mother and my brothers? So those who do the will of God. Can you imagine that today, if you do the will of God, you are another Mary? Can you imagine? That's beautiful. That's how amazing following Christ is. Which is all about doing the will of the Father. And that's where we truly find rest for our lives. May God bless you all.